In this video, I am going to show you how to predict the future and specifically how to predict what is going to happen month to month in the Toronto real estate market. So let's get into this video and learn how we're going to do that and what it's going to mean for you as both a buyer and a seller. If you like educational real estate content like this, please remember to subscribe so you can get the latest videos that are out there. And if you want to book a 15-minute chat with me, there's a link below where you can book a call and we can talk about real estate and what opportunities might be out there for you. Okay, maybe I can't really tell the future and predict it, but what I do know is that seasonality is a great predictor of what might actually happen within the market based on the data that we have from previous years. So if you look back at data for years and years, you can see that there are certain times within the year that there are more sales and certain times within the year where there are less sales or the market is just generally slower. So I want to talk about three different things here on a calendar year. The first thing I'm going to talk about and show you is the flow and the trend of how sales go up and down throughout the year. The second piece I want to share with you is why that might happen at different times within the year. Why are sales higher or lower in a given month? And the third thing would be, what is a good time for you? Is it better to buy in a particular month or not? And what the implications could be from an inventory or buying standpoint. Now I have the actual numbers and the data, but to keep this video simple, I just wanted to show the trend and discuss what happens in a typical month without getting bogged down in the actual numbers. If that is something you're interested in, it's something I can definitely share. Just let me know in the comments below. So here I'm going to draw out a very simple calendar year. So let's say January, February, March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November, and December. So let's just take this as a typical year and try to understand exactly how real estate sales trends would be month to month. So we're going to start off with January over here, and I'm going to pronounce the curve a lot more than what actually happens in the market. So there aren't massive spikes and declines in sales in any given month based on seasonality alone, but I'm going to exaggerate them a little bit as I draw them out on here so that we can understand and see them a little bit more clearly of what would happen. So January to February, March, April to Mayish, between April and May, is typically where the market goes up in any given average year. So again, I'm going to exaggerate it a little bit. So let's just say it goes up, 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 and then maybe still a little bit up there. So that would mean we're trending upward from January to May. And then as we typically get into the summer months, things start to just slow a little bit. Again, I'm exaggerating it here, but things will generally slow down a little bit for June, July, and then they're pretty flat at that point up until September. So down to flat. Again, exaggerated, and there's kind of the pattern of what you would see happen in terms of sales. From September, October, and maybe just the start of November, you may see a little bit of an increase in a given year. And then from November to December, things go right back down again and slow. So the peak in the market from a sales perspective is usually in this April, May timeframe over here. That's usually where things peak. And then over here in December, they're pretty slow in terms of sale, and January is pretty slow in terms of sales over here. And then we have the summer where it's kind of flat, slight pickup maybe over here in September. Now let's talk about why this happens in different months within the year. January is a slow month. It's the beginning of the year. A lot of conversations are happening. So that is when the majority of people are thinking about buying or selling, kind of thinking what they want to do within the year, just like everything else. New Year's resolutions, new year, new me, conversations start to happen. This is my busiest time of the year in terms of meetings, phone calls, conversations, and discussions with potential buyers and sellers to figure out what they want to do that year. So there's less activity, but there is more conversation of what they may want to do. The other part of January is that it's usually cold in Toronto, it's snowy, people just don't really want to get out there and start doing things. And then as the weather starts to get better and as the year kind of kicks off to start, people want to start doing things in this March, April, May kind of time frame, we have the typical spring market that you've probably heard of. And the spring market means that weather's good. A lot of people are out there. They're ready to buy. They've taken the first couple months of the year to think about it, learn what they need to do, and then they're ready to pull the trigger. And then same thing with sellers. The weather is a little bit better. They're ready to get out there and start doing things. So there's usually more people out there listing, and then buyers also works out in terms of a time perspective where they want to start buying as well. Then we get into the summer months over here where it slows down a little bit. And a big part of why it slows down is that it's the summertime. People are on vacation. They're thinking about other things. Kids are out of school. So in terms of a priority in the summertime, people aren't thinking as much about the administrative task of buying and selling a house or a condo, but they're more focused on the summer. It's as simple as that. And then what happens in September? So summer's come to an end. Kids are back in school. There's a group of people who wanted to do something within the year, but they didn't get to it yet for some reason, or they weren't able to pull the trigger on something. September is often a time when people realize, hey, I really wanted to do something this year and I didn't end up pulling the trigger. This is the right time. Let me get it done. So in September, sales start to pick up a little bit, September and October, where those who didn't get a chance earlier in the year to either buy or sell might get back out there and do that. And then in November and December, the majority of people's attention starts shifting towards the holiday season. And again, not the best time for people. Now, the next thing I want to talk about on this chart or on this calendar of the year is when would be a good time? I think a typical question most people would have is, when is the best time? December and January are slow, meaning that people are not able to sell the properties that they have listed. So it seems like the ideal time for a buyer to swoop in and get a really good deal and buy a property that's not selling, and maybe the seller really wants to get rid of their property and you're there at the right time at the right place. And for you, timing works out. You don't mind doing something in December or January. It kind of seems like the perfect time to buy. So why isn't everybody buying at the end of December or right at the beginning of January, when you can maybe get a little bit of a better deal because you know that sellers might be a little bit more desperate? Well, the reason is that inventory is very, very low in December and January as well. So the number of homes listed for sale are less because most people are not listing at that time. So you have less of a choice in what you might be able to put an offer on or go look at. If you end up finding a property that fits all of your needs and has everything that you want at the end of December or January when the market is really slow, then that's a great opportunity for you to maybe put in an offer and get something at a good price because the seller just wants to get rid of their property at that point. Most of the time, the inventory is low and people aren't able to find what they want. So that's the reason why everybody is not, rushing to buy in that slow period and try and take advantage of sellers. Now, if we look at the flip side of this, the peak over here in March, April, May timeframe, you might think, well, why is everybody trying to buy at that point if the most sales are happening and sellers are able to sell quickly because a lot of buyers are out there? Why would anybody want to buy at that time? It's the reverse of exactly what I was talking about for December and January. During that March, April, May spring market time period, you have the most inventory out there. So you are able to probably find what you're looking for, or at least have the best chance of finding what you're looking for during those months there. A good middle ground is kind of those summer months where things are slow, but inventory still might be out there. And for some people, they find good opportunities in those summer months as well. There's no exact perfect timing here, but this video and this explanation is meant to help you understand what a typical year looks like and why there is more or less inventory, or why there is more or less sales in any given period of the year, so you can understand what you're going into. So if you are, for example, a buyer and you're ready to buy right now, given what month that you're watching this video in right now, you can get a good understanding of what the overall market sentiment is right now and what might be happening at a little bit of a macro level in the market, purely based on seasonality. So, I find this a great way to kind of predict the future and try to understand what's going to happen month to month. Now, this is an average. This doesn't happen every single time, and there are a lot of political or market events that can change this flow. I hope you found this video helpful, and if you're thinking about buying or selling in the near future, think about this framework and hopefully it can help you understand what you're getting into.